This piece of ground really redefined how we understand the Battle of Fredericksburg. Traditionally, it had been a focus on the northern end of the field at the sunken road and the stone wall, and everyone thought Ambrose Burnside, the federal commander, is an idiot for sending his troops up against that position. And it's a huge lopsided loss, 13,000 federal casualties compared to only 5,000 Confederates. And that's how we understood the Battle of Fredericksburg. This ground here at the slaughter pen farm in the south end of the field really opened up our understanding about what was actually supposed to happen here. There was supposed to be an attack across this field every bit as massive as the one that went across the north end of the field. And by attacking the south and north end of the fields at the same time, Ambrose Burnside hoped that one or the other would break through and also prevent Confederates from shifting reinforcements from one end of the battlefield to the other. And by capturing one end of the Confederate line or the other, there was a military road that runs on the ridge behind me in those trees that Burnside could then use to sweep either northward or southward, depending on where he broke through. And so by understanding the key importance of this ground, we've been able to really understand just what was supposed to happen. And maybe, just maybe, Ambrose Burnside wasn't quite the idiot history has remembered him to be.
It's interesting to come and stand here, and as you describe it, this is a big place, and you think about even with the amount of troops that were here, there's a lot of ground to be covered.
There's a tremendous amount of ground covered. Unfortunately, what has been preserved here by the American Battlefield Trust does capture most of the scope of what's going on. If we were to extend off to my left toward the north, toward today what is Shannon's Airport, that's kind of the north flank or the right flank of the federal movement as it's coming across the field over here. Meanwhile, off to my right, there's an industrial complex today, and there would have been Union troops moving through that area as well. So we don't have everything that was taking place down here, but we've got a majority of it. What was supposed to happen is at sunrise on December 12th, federal soldiers were supposed to push across here using a division at least, says Ambrose Burnside. Now, the commander down at this end of the field is a guy named William B. Franklin. He's got half of the army, and he only uses a division, keeps it well supported with a second and a third. But as a result, he doesn't throw in nearly the number of troops that Ambrose Burnside expects him to. And then that small force really gets diluted even further by the sudden actions of a Confederate artillerist just a mile to the south of us named John Pelham, who shows up and starts lobbing shells at the federal force up here, and it forces the Federals to basically stop in their tracks, and an entire Union division will divert itself off in that direction under Abner Doubleday, the man who did not invent baseball, and he'll have to contend with Pelham. That leaves a division under George Gordon Meade off to my right, and we can kind of see his attack plane off in this direction here. And then where we're at here, the Slaughter Pen Farm, this is where John Gibbon's division moves in support of Meade. So Meade is the spearhead, and then Gibbon is supposed to protect him here on the side, and Doubleday is supposed to protect him on that side. Doubleday is diverted. Gibbon will actually march across this portion of the field, break into the Confederate line, and the Confederate line will bend back but not break open. We talk about the Civil War being brother versus brother. John Gibbon is a North Carolinian, and he's fighting against a North Carolina brigade where 3 of his brothers are engaged. And it's going to be a pretty intense fight. If we look over my shoulder, you'll see off in the distance there's one tall tree sticking up out of that tree line. That's the direction Gibbon's men push. And as they get out in that direction, the Confederate counterattacks finally push them back, and they come tumbling across this field, past me, past Ted behind the camera, and back toward the road behind us. There's going to be another group of federal soldiers under David Bell Birney, excuse me. He's going to come up to help cover that retreat. And we can talk a little bit about Birney's failures as a commander, because he doesn't come up soon enough. If he had, his troops could have made all the difference when George Gordon Meade breaks through off to my right. Instead, he gets here just in time to kind of save a route from turning into complete disaster.
Lot of intense battle fighting right here.
So intense that there are going to be 6 medals of honor that are earned right on this property, and another one on the far side of the railroad tracks. So it's going to be just absolutely intense. And the casualties down here are going to be pretty even. About 5,000 federal casualties, about 4,000 Confederate casualties. And there is the opportunity for the Federals to actually succeed with this breakthrough Meade has, and he doesn't get the support in time and instead is thrown back. So Burnside's plan actually almost worked, except for poor leadership by his subordinate, William Franklin.
Wow, how how we look at them in history determined right here.
Absolutely. And, Burnside does deserve some of the blame. His orders were as clear as mud, and Franklin doesn't bother to try to get any clarification for them, doesn't try to clear things up, and so he's as cautious as absolutely possible, which is really one of the fatal flaws of the Army of the Potomac. And that cautiousness really costs Burnside victory.